So this came up, just changing topics here a little bit. This came up in one of our previous shows, and would you guys object a guy not wanting to date a transgender woman?
Mary choked on her water.
Object a guy that doesn't want to.
Would you object? Like, do you think it's wrong for a guy to not want to date a transgender woman?
No.
It's a personal opinion. It's a personal preference.
Yeah.
Okay.
It really depends on who they are, and, like, what they want.
So if a guy was just like, yeah, I don't date transgender women, like that.
Well, if that's
fine.
what they want, then
Okay.
I guess so. But they can also be like, oh, we don't click, or maybe they do click, and then it's like the thing going back to what we were talking about. Like, it just really depends on how well they like mix with this person.
No, but without even, like, they just wouldn't even give a transgender woman a chance. So there is no opportunity for there to be a click or not. It's just that's immediate deal breaker.
That's a personal preference.
I think this happens, like, well, obviously it's not the same, but it happens a lot with girls. They're like, I can't date guys shorter than 6 foot or whatever. I won't even give them a chance.
It's probably a little different.
Really big.
No, but
then
A woman with a dick is a little
being
different.
I mean, I don't know. It's a preference too. It's all about the preferences.
I just think she means like having a closed mindset like that, kind of like cutting all those people out.
Yeah, like I wouldn't even consider it.
Yeah, but
So do you object to that though? To having the closed mindset of?
I don't really care. They're gonna make their own decisions. Like, if they are really against like transgender, like dating transgender women, so be it. Like, you are inclined to your own personal opinion, and you can have that.
But your view of it, do you think that it's closed-minded, or they're not being open because they just off rip, they just wouldn't want to date somebody who's transgender?
I mean, I definitely think it's cutting off some of your options. Like, when people say like you have like a type or whatever, I feel like that's really narrowing down the kind of people you can meet because of this thing you have in your head, like, as a type. So I feel like people should just be open for anything, and that being one of them is maybe you'll end up finding love with a transgender woman.
Okay,
It just
type is like a guy who refuses to date like a girl with a certain color of hair, not a guy who refuses to date guys.
But they aren't a guy.
Biological
They don't-
males. But this is
they don't
YouTube, so I can't
qualify.
even say what I really think, so never mind.
What do you think? Like, do you think it's closed-minded? Or is it just a valid preference?
I think it's valid, just how everybody's preferences are valid, you know?
Sure, no, but I think what I'm trying to get at, you acknowledge that people are entitled to having their preferences, but do you think it is a superficial preference? Do you think it's an unfair preference or an unreasonable or maybe a bit more closed-minded?
No, I do think it's valid.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you? Do you have any?
I don't really have a comment on it. I think it, like, however you identify with your sexuality too, like, depends if you, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't really have a comment.
So you have no issue with a guy who just like would not date a transgender woman?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, I totally understand. It's how you identify with your sexuality too, you know. Because if you're considered straight, you know, I feel I'm not very like I don't know a lot, so I don't want to like say the wrong thing without knowing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I really just think it's how you identify.
Sure. Okay. For example, I would not date a transgender woman.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problem with transgender people, but I would not date a transgender woman.
Yeah.
I don't care if that's just an immediate no for me.
Do you want to tell us why?
Well, I have a genitalia preference for one.
What if they have a surgically produced?
It would still
neo-vagina?
sure. Well, it would still be a genitalia preference because that's not a actual vagina.
Oh, they can get them really realistic. I heard
it's not,
these days,
it's,
Brian.
No. Also,
I heard that.
Also, I'm attracted to females.
They have the technology.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the other thing is I'm just attracted to females. So, yeah.
Good point.
Yeah. You can't change into a female. You can. There's some debate over whether you can become a woman.
You can change into a woman,
No, well,
but you can't change
sex
into a
is
female.
you can't
A lot of
change your
people would
sex.
tell you female isn't even a thing that exists.
Well, that we're getting into some interesting territory there.
So
Interesting.
maybe you need to educate yourself.
Here,